Dimitri. Wooden donuts.
Hello, sweet kitten.
Give me just a second. I'm making sure that YouTube is working properly. Good morning, Ryan. How are you, friend? I've seen you in a little while. Okay. Just living the loving mystery. Oh! I just sat on a kitten. Let me close this window so the dogs aren't quite as loud. Don't attack me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sit on you. Mm-hmm. Come here. Right here? In the lap? Yeah? Here. There you go. Better? Always have that extra sense, don't they? Oh, we're gonna start doing something? Okay, let me go listen on your lap now. Thank you. Yes, darling? Yes? What do you need? Okay. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, everyone. My name is Reverend Deborah. I am an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, movement and breath, body and being, and I will always be your shenanigan shaman, because if you're on this journey home to yourself, you know it can get pretty damn silly sometimes. Huh? Yeah. And this is our Bhakti Bites class. Bhakti means devotion. So devotion to what? Devotion to self-care. We spend so much of our energy devoting our energy, our time, our attention, our compassion, our love, our patience, our everything to everyone and everything else. When that energy really needs to come from here, really needs to start here first. When we apply these things that we do for others to ourselves, we discover a depth that was not available to us when we were only giving it away. So, in Bhakti Bites, we practice a mindfulness tool, and as of late that has been mudras, and probably will continue to be mudras for some time, because mudras are accessible, relatively easy to use, somewhat easy to remember, but always available to you. And in fact, I also highly encourage spontaneous kriyas. We've got some folks in the CAYA community who are experimenting and exploring with their spontaneous. Great, perfect. My live has been restricted for some audiences. Live visibility restricted for 10 minutes. Because I'm promoting something. Oh my Lord. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, TikTok, for making sure that we remain flexible instead of rigid, that we let go of our expectations and accept what is. It is what it is. Not from a place of apathy, from a place of acceptance. Okay. Go ahead and restrict it. That's all right. We're going to practice a meditation. We are going to sit with our mudra. Hey, Ree, if you guys would do me a favor and share it with anybody that you think would enjoy in learning about a mudra or working on the sacral chakra. We have been working with the sacral chakra all week long. Hey, good morning, Troy. Remember, the sacral chakra is located below the belly button and above the pubic bone. So between the area of the pubic bone and the belly button is where your sacral chakra is. Your sacral chakra is the color orange. It is your center for connection and fluidity, movement. This is the I feel chakra. If you place your hand just below your belly button, you have your hand sitting on your sacral chakra. This is our center. Good morning, sacral. Hi, did you have something to say? This is our center for intimacy. This is also our center for creativity, creation. Any complaints in the reproductive system, in the pelvic region, in the lower digestion, all are associated with the energy of the sacral chakra, as well as in the low back. Rigidity or stiffness in the joints is also associated with sacral chakra imbalance, because this is the area from which our fluidity or movement comes from. This sacral chakra is ruled, or is the water element. Again, bringing that movement to the body, fluidity, flexibility. This is where we learn to bend when the wind blows, or where we learn to become stiff as a board and get knocked over every time the wind blows. This is also our umbilical cord to the universe. So this chakra develops during the ages of about 6 months to about 2 years. And during that time, we take in the way the universe responds to our need for nurturing. When we ask for help, do we receive it? When we are hungry or tired? Do we receive the nourishment that we need? Are our needs dismissed? Or are they nurtured? Are they seen and heard? This is also the area where we begin, the stage where we begin to learn about boundaries. Traumas at an early age to the sacral chakra make it difficult to develop healthy boundaries in the future. Remember, an imbalance in one chakra does not immediately mean that all the other chakras are depleted. If your sacral chakra is closed off, it means there's a very, very heavy boundary. So any of the energy of pleasure or nurturing, desire, intimacy, fluidity, all of these energies with a deficient sacral chakra are held within. So any energy of someone else trying to nurture that person will kind of just get deflected. That will not be received. And because it's not received, what does it do? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It reconfirms this idea that the universe is not going to satisfy our needs. The universe is not going to nurture us. So a deficient sacral chakra looks like somebody who is rigid in the way that they hold their body, rigid in their thinking, lacks emotional intelligence, fears change, has, again, really rigid boundaries, really extreme boundaries, and denies themselves pleasure. This also leads to black and white thinking, narrowed thinking, because it's much easier in that either or place, rigid place, to just choose either or thinking, black or white thinking. It's either good or it's bad. And from this perspective, the more deficient, more closed off this chakra is, the more bad anything is that brings you joy, creativity. These are your sorry, my stepdad just came to mind. You'll never make a career with, art and stuff like that. You can't have fun in life. That was his whole shtick. Sorry, that just now erupted for me. Like, oh, he probably had some rigidity there in his sacral chakra. Very restricted movement, and also leads to a lot of pain, whether it be through menstrual cycle, low back pain, joint pain, hip pain, and general stiffness all over the body. So these are signs of a deficient sacral chakra. An excessive sacral chakra would be somebody who struggles with boundaries, struggles to maintain healthy boundaries, and maybe even feels like they can't or don't know how right at all to create boundaries. This is somebody who is, this is the very codependent character, reaching out for anyone and anything outside of themselves that will satisfy their deep desire for nurturing that was not satisfied the way that it should have been. This also leads to addictive behaviors. And I don't just mean substances, I mean any and all, whether they be intimacy, working out, working at your job, even emotional addictions, addictive behaviors that lead you down the same emotional path over and over and over again. These are people who experience mood swings to a small degree to a very large degree, depending on how excessive this chakra is. So again, the energy of the excessive chakra is a lot of push out, a lot of energy going out. So when there's a lot of energy leaving this center, there's not a lot of energy coming back in. So again, the same outcome happens. Do you hear that? The same outcome happens with excessive versus deficient. Either I'm deficient and I'm totally closed off, and that energy of nurturing that someone else is trying to give me bounces off and disappears. And I do not experience the feeling of being nurtured or taken care of by the world, or loved for that matter. If I have an excessive chakra, that means the energy is pushing out and reaching out so much that there is very little energy that returns back into the chakra. Because this is our center for intimacy, I think you can surmise the kind of behaviors that would come from somebody who has an excessive chakra here, who is constantly reaching for healthy intimacy, for the healthy alignment of this chakra. The beautiful thing, okay, this chakra develops between the ages of 6 months old to about 2 years. I hope you keep doing it, Mullah Cookie. Thank you, Leb. So, it develops between the ages of 6 months and 2 years, yes? What that means when I say develops means it settles into a familiar pattern, okay? In infancy, when we are in our first, from womb to about 6 months, we're working on our root chakra. The rest of the chakra centers, it's not like they don't exist. They are open channels. So this is what we talk about with trauma with very, very young children, is they do not have the boundaries to prevent trauma from happening. So this trauma goes right through them. The experience goes right through them. They also have no temporal understanding of time. So the trauma and the experiences, even if they are small seemingly to the adult, become very large experiences in the perception of the child, because the child is living in an infinite state of being, as well as in the theta brainwaves, which is the dream time. We don't come out of the dream time until we're 7 years old. So this is the area for boundaries. If there is trauma, if there is SA trauma, intimacy trauma, that kind of stuff that happens here, this makes it very difficult later on for the person to set boundaries. In fact, it may feel like it is, actually, this breeds guilt. There is a great deal of guilt that happens here in this area. But the beauty is that during that time, while this settles into whatever it expects, whatever it responds to from the outside world and from the internal experience of the outside world, once we find ourselves in our mid-late 20s, that prefrontal cortex comes on. Your energy body and your physical body are, for all intents and purposes, done developing. Our first big stage, big push of development, physical development, along with the energy bodies and cognitive development, right, all happen up until the age of about mid-20s or so, early to mid-20s. At that time, we have a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to heal our chakras, to realign, to basically meet ourselves for the first time. Because when we're younger, we don't have the capacity to meet ourselves in the same way that we do after our brain and our body finish developing. It's almost as if, for those first 20-some years, we are unconsciously building this temple. We are unconsciously building this house, this vessel, for us to travel through life in, and for us to find our way back home. The reason I love working with the energy bodies and why I do a lot of work with the chakras in particular is because the energy body can affect all levels of self. From the spiritual self, to the physical self, to the emotional, to the cognitive self. Well, Cookie, you say, there's a lot, much work ahead for you in the area of 9 and under. You're tentative about that. So I'm glad that you said that too, because here in the lower chakras, we are talking about the earliest traumas that we can experience. And again, like I said, what seems minuscule to the adults of the time may be something that throws you way off balance. Again, because the brain has no temporal aspect and has no object permanence. When you talk about, for example, being an infant left on your own, crying, the cry it out method, essentially puts the child in a perpetual state of this infinite longing. And the child does not experience the knowing, any sort of understanding that the caregiver will come back. and that their needs will be met. And the reason I am a huge anti-cry it out method is because what it does is not teach the child to self-soothe. It teaches the child to essentially give up on asking for help. And that, as you can imagine, can be a pretty serious detriment to the self later on in life. So Barb, you asked, how do you heal the chakra? There are innumerable ways to address imbalances in the chakra. Depending on that chakra, sometimes the simplest way is to just be present with the energy there. Because, as I was saying, these being our youngest experiences, a lot of times they don't have memorable memories to them. They don't have words. There isn't the same memory or pieces of that trauma for you to unearth because you didn't at the time have the capacity to even make sense of it, to even put it in a way that would be remembered, because the brain, it doesn't have the capacity for that. So the earliest traumas, these lower chakras under the age of 2, most of us don't have memories from that time because our brain's not even developed enough to formulate and hold on to those memories. So when we deal with this lower trauma stuff, lower chakra trauma, this is our center for emotions as well. So when you reach down into these places, I invite you to meet yourself, and I know I say it all the time, but I really mean it here. I invite you to meet yourself with curiosity and willingness, because the thing is, you might not expect what you find, and what you find may feel very emotional, very heavy, very out of control, very indescribable, very physical. And in the West, we're not used to being in that place. We're not used to holding space for our emotions. We're not used to holding space for our somatic experiences. So when you take this journey to healing the self through the energy body, I invite, just really be prepared to hold space. And remember, please remember, there is nothing inside of you that can hurt you unless you give it permission to do so. At the same time, after all you have been through, you deserve gentleness, patience, and compassion. You deserve these things from yourself. We can't go back in time. You can't be reparented. We can't undo that early trauma. We can't have somebody walk into the room and scoop you up when you were crying by yourself. We can't have somebody save you from the experience that was happening. But what we can do is reparent ourselves. Hold space for them when they come up exactly as we needed when we were children. And with these early experiences, that usually just means being held, feeling safe, feeling heard, getting our needs met, having the freedom to experience the joys and pleasure of life, to show up creatively for ourselves and for the problems that we face in our life, right? We are so often thwarted at this stage. Literally, this is the part of where the terrible twos come from, because we are expressing so much of that creative energy, so much of that fluidity, so much of that pleasure and joy and sweetness of life. But then we have these rigid characters as our caregivers oftentimes who say, shh, sit down, be quiet, don't be so loud, don't be so silly, don't be so crazy, don't be so whatever. Oh, your story's a bunch of nonsense, whatnot, you know. Yes, Leb, exactly. The ability to make logical sense out of them is because the brain does not even have the capacity to do so. It doesn't have reference points for those experiences. This is why early SA trauma is so detrimental later on. Not that it can't be repaired, but it's so pervasive because it becomes literally the background noise, like if your background song that is constantly playing, and we learn to ignore it because we learn not to pay attention to those subtle layers of self in this culture. We learn to pay attention only to the external self that's right here. And by doing so, we deny all those other parts of ourselves the nurturing that they deserve. Hi, Tina. Good morning. Thank you, Justin. I'm sorry, Mullet Cookie. Yeah, I know we all had these experiences, and one of the things that breaks my heart, actually, especially right now with the things going on in the world, is seeing these images of children with the trauma eyes, stuck in that shock state. Because one of the things that I noticed really early in my study of child development is when I looked back at those old pictures of myself, I saw the same thing. Huge eyes. And then these home videos that I've got where they were like, oh, she's got such big eyes, she's got such doe eyes, oh, how cute. But you can see my eyelids peeled back from the degree of trauma. Yeah, from the intensity of the things that I was experiencing. And the thing is that part of me, right, just like that part of you, it doesn't have words to tell you what happened. It doesn't have images so that you can remember every bit of the thing. And if you do have those memories, they may still be foggy and indescribable. So, again, meet yourself with curiosity. Tina, you've been healing yourself from childhood trauma. This morning, you woke up crying. You feel better now. Those moments. Remember when you, of course, remember when you were an infant and you'd wake up crying but nobody came, right? Wake up nervous, scared, where am I kind of thing. When these emotions come up, it is so important for us to do the best we can to be the parent we needed. Not in judgment, not to shame ourselves, not to tell ourselves to shut up and get over it, but lay there for a few minutes extra if you have it. Wrap your arms around yourself or tuck yourself between some pillows so you feel held. I'm really a big fan of the somatic rocking, especially when you wake up and find that, right? Find yourself like that. Wake up and start to just do a little rocking. Rock yourself back and forth. I'm a big fan of humming to myself as if I was humming to a child. Because those parts of yourself are stuck in that child state. And when we don't give them time at the table, when we don't give them time to express themselves and we keep them hidden away, they don't know that we are now grown and capable of protecting ourselves. They are still stuck in that place until we bring them to the present moment. We can't bring them to the present moment unless we're aware that they're there, and we can be patient and compassionate with them. Because if we meet them with that same rigidity or that same force or that same shame, they won't come back out. Good. I'm so glad, Tina. So, anything else we want to say about the sacral chakra before we get into our meditation today? Tina, I am very happy you found me too. I'm very happy you're here. I love growing our little community. For those of you who are new here, this is our CAYA community space. C-A-Y-A stands for Come As You Are, because authenticity is the purest expression of who you are. Authenticity is love for self and love for other. It is the purest, most powerful expression that we can resonate at. And it's my understanding that that is divine life force. That is prana. Prana is universal source energy, is the energy of creation, is the energy of love. And we all know that God is love. That source is love. That source is creation. Love is creation. And its impetus is to expand and to grow. Your authenticity, being in your authenticity, expressing your authenticity is like hitting the perfect note. A note that was made only for you, that only you can sing. So, the only thing I ask in this space is that you also show up with curiosity and willingness. A willingness to meet yourself and each other exactly where we are in this authentic expression. And a curiosity about others. A curiosity about what arises within ourselves, especially when we feel triggered by other people. Curiosity makes space. Willingness creates space. And in that space, we have the opportunity to learn and grow together. So I'm glad you're here. Now, let's get some tools going. Good morning, Adam. That's my little brother's name, and I haven't spoken to him in decades. So thank you for coming in, Adam. Tina, did that give you a little bit of a trigger to hear that it is a safe space? When we are not used to having safe spaces, a lot of times we hear that, right? And we go, really? I know what you mean, safe space. Sure, right? Come explore. We do have a private space over on our Discord, and I'll talk about that after we meditate. You can find the link on my Patreon page. I've got membership levels, but there's also a totally free space because I'm not in the business of making my bank account fat. I'm in the business of creating a fat community. If anything is going to get fat, it's the community. Not my wallet, but my heart. My heart, that's for sure. Okay, all right. So, all week long, as we've been working with our sacral chakra, we have been working with the Svadhisthana Mudra chakra. So, yes, it's the mudra for the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra, again, in Sanskrit, is called the Svadhisthana chakra, and this area it means sweetness. Sweetness. This is where we receive the sweetness and where we experience the sweetness of life. So there's a mudra. There are many mudras to help balance this chakra, but this one is our foundational mudra for dealing with the sacral chakra. Now I have to say big caveat. If you are pregnant, please do not use this mudra. If you are expecting to get pregnant, hoping to get pregnant, please do not use this mudra. If you, as we just found out recently, thank you, Nikki, if you're around, if you are heading into menopause and you are enjoying that transition, do not use this mudra. This is a mudra that increases our fluidity, our adaptability, allows us to experience more pleasure in life, and experience more nurturing. Yes, Tammy. Yep. We just recently experimented with it earlier this week. I have a lovely community member who is in perimenopause and agreed to try it out. And then about a day later said, "Can I have a different mudra?" She was like, "Wait a minute, no." So, working with the energy body is very powerful, guys. This is why I always say, meet yourself first with curiosity and willingness, and love and compassion if you can muster it, but at the very least, curiosity and willingness. And if you find that tension is building in the body, in the breath, in the mind, in the spirit, in the energy, I invite you to pause. So if you are in the middle of the meditation and you begin experiencing something that feels, for whatever reason, too intense, too much, too hot, too uncomfortable, causes you pain, we are not in the business of doing any of these things. All of these things create tension, and tension closes off the energy channels. So if you find any of those things happen, release the mudra. And either put your hand palms down on your thighs or palms up, whatever feels most appropriate to you, and just take some deep breaths. Now, this is really important here. Take some deep breaths, allow whatever happened to dissipate, and then ask permission. Please give yourself that level of respect. Stop trying to steamroll yourself. Stop trying to push yourself past your edges. That is the way that we were injured in the first place. By a world that is too harsh and too fast and too rigid and too pushy. Please don't be pushy with yourself. You deserve at least someone in your life who is gentle and kind and loving and compassionate with you and patient. We are not in the business of creating a battle within ourselves, because a battle within yourself is a war that you will wage your entire life long. And we here are untangling these battles and these wars that we have been fighting within. So please, again, curiosity and willingness, patience and compassion. Okay, you ready for your first opportunity to meet yourself where you're at? Because this mudra is a little bit twisted. So, remember that if you cannot get the mudra exactly in its most perfect incarnation, honor yourself where you're at, love yourself for where you're at, and just breathe. You will find that meeting yourself at your edge and being able to just breathe right there can actually create more space for you than if you were to start pushing on that edge really hard. Equal and opposite reaction, okay? So, the Svadhisthana Mudra is done like so. 2 hands. Bring your palms together and lift your middle finger up and over your index, like you're crossing your fingers for good luck. With your middle finger over your index. Tuck in your ring and your pinky so that they just interlace, right, into the palm. No need to cross them over or anything. They can just lay there inside the palm. Tuck them in the palm. Now here, we bring the tips of our thumbs to touch the pads of the middle fingers. Get those index fingers aligned so it can look like this. It can look even more open. If you can't quite touch, that's okay. It can look like this. If yours is really bendy, it may look like this. Once you get your mudra, rest it in your lap. Ideally, this mudra is rested on the pubic bone. That's why I really like to do this meditation lying down. However, you can be seated upright, you can be lying down, you can even be walking. If you were walking and you just want to rest this mudra while you're walking, you can do that too. If you're sitting there, if you're driving, please do not use this mudra. Bring it as close to the body as you can. Again, if this is uncomfortable, we are not in the business of creating a battle within ourselves. We are not in the business of creating tension within ourselves. We are trying to release tension. So if you find that this creates tension, leave it further out. If it's creates too much tension holding it here, hold it up here and leave it right here. That's okay too. The mudra will do its work for you. Go ahead and rest your mudra in your lap. And if it's available to you, close your eyes and just take a few breaths. I'm going to let my kitten cat in. Okay. Now, with your mudra resting in your lap, allow your breath to find a comfortable, steady rhythm of inhales and exhales. Allow yourself a few deep breaths. Take this opportunity to exhale any tension that you might find in the body, in the breath, in the mind. Allow your awareness to ride on the breath as it rises and falls. Allow this steady rhythm to lull you into this practice. On your next inhale, take a big deep breath in, expanding the rib cage in all directions, front, sides, and back, and hold at the top. And as you exhale, release the breath and gently tuck the chin just a little bit. This ensures that our head does not float away with itself while we're lost in meditation. And return to a nice, steady rhythm. Inhaling and exhaling just through the nose now. As you continue to breathe, you may notice the breath becoming deeper, more expansive, maybe even heavier. I invite you to follow this sensation. And instead of the breath coming from the lungs, in and out of the lungs, I invite you to pull the breath in and out of the belly. Inhaling, expanding the belly, exhaling, contracting the belly. pulling the belly in to release all air. Inhale into the belly. Exhale from the belly. It's okay to intentionally move the belly with the breath. Pulling the breath deeper than the lungs. Following the weight as it sinks deeper and deeper into us. As you continue your inhales and exhales from the belly, now I invite you to move the attention further down to your sacral chakra. Again, the sacral chakra is the area between your belly button and your pubic bone. So just underneath your belly button, bring your attention there. And again, it's okay to intentionally move the belly. Move the lower belly, inhaling and exhaling the entire length of the belly, all the way down, pulling the breath all the way down to your pubic bone. Fill the entire torso. Exhale all of it. So with your inhale, your rib cage is expanding, your belly is expanding, your lower belly is expanding, your sides are expanding. You might even feel a little bit of expansion in your back as you take these big, deep, full breaths all the way, pulling the breath all the way from the sacral chakra. Exhaling all the way in, pulling the breath into the sacral chakra and exhaling from the sacral chakra. Take several breaths here, just feeling into the sensation of the breath, filling your upper body, your rib cage, your belly, your lower abdomen. Remember that the most important parts of meditation are your intention and your attention. Our intention is to experience this full, deep breath, and we bring our attention back to that practice again and again. If your mind wanders off, starts telling stories about things or trying to explain things away or asking, I wonder what that feeling is from, any of that, bring your awareness, let go of those thoughts, and bring your awareness back to the breath. If your brain is talking about the breath, still, we rest our awareness on the breath. If the brain is extra busy, try resting your awareness on a physical sensation created by this breathing exercise. Maybe the lifting and the falling of your heart, the expansion of your belly or your sides. Bring your awareness to your back. Pay all of your attention to the breathing into the back body as well. Use whatever anchor brings your awareness here and now. Full deep breaths. As you continue to breathe with your awareness squarely here on that breath, I invite you to notice the orange orb of light that is in your sacral chakra, that is below your belly button. Breathe into that space. And with each exhale, I invite you to notice the light expanding. Or if you notice the light expanding with the inhale, go ahead and follow what comes up for you. Keep breathing as you allow this orange light to expand from the sacral chakra, slowly getting bigger and bigger around you, encompassing the mudra, encompassing your legs and your knees, up through your rib cage until you are completely surrounded in this rich orange glow. Take your time here, and if visualization is not your jam, don't sweat it. Just set the intention to experience the energy of this chakra, the orange glow of this chakra. You may not see color, but there are other layers of experience that you can access. Your intention and your attention are the keys to that experience. Set your intention to experience it and use the tools available to you. Maybe it is your mind's eye visualization. Maybe it's your ears, and you soon set your attention to the sacral chakra and this orange glow, and suddenly you hear a buzzing sound begin. It may be sensory. You may feel a weight or a heaviness or a buzzing in the area of the sacral chakra. There may be a taste in your mouth. The sense that is associated with the sacral chakra is taste. So I wouldn't be surprised if things got a little sweeter as you worked on this chakra. And anything that arises from this place, whether it is sweet or sour or spicy or savory, whatever it is, let it rise and fall the same way your heart rises and falls on your breath. Let it release the same way as you let out a belch or a fart, without attachment, without story. Just be present. Watch it rise and fall, pass by like clouds in the sky, float away like bubbles, as you soak in this rich, nourishing energy. Let's take several more breaths, either continuing to expand this orange light all around you, or sitting in it nice and big, soaking that energy up. All of your attention, all of your focus, all of your awareness on this orange glow that has now permeated every part of your being. Stay here basking in the energy of the sacral chakra as long as you would like. If you would like to add a mantra, we are going to add a mantra. The seed mantra, which means like the core, most basic mantra for the sacral chakra, is VAM. V-A-M. You can say it to yourself, but words and your voice have power, so I invite you to say it out loud if it's available to you. For a moment, check on the integrity of your mudra. Bring intention back to your mudra. Sometimes they collapse on us, so bring intention back to your mudra. Make sure you've still got it. Then return your awareness to your sacral chakra, to this beautiful orange orb that we are soaking in. And we're going to run through 7 rounds, because 7 is the number. We're going to run through 7 rounds of VAM. So we will say VAM 7 times, 7 times over. You can do it with me, or you can do it at your own pace. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Sigh it out. And inhale to begin. Vam, 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 vam. Pause. Take a deep breath in. Vam, 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 vam. Pause. Feel that energy building. Take a deep breath in. Vam, 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 vam. Pause. Take a deep breath in. Vam, 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 vam. Pause. A little bit louder. Take a deep breath in. Vam, 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 vam. Relax. Inhale. Vam, 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 vam. Relax. One more. Inhale. Vam, 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 vam. And release. Keep your mudra. Bring your awareness back to your mudra. Release any tension in the body. And pay attention. Give your awareness to the sensations generated by the mantra. I invite you to offer a gentle smile to anything you are experiencing right now, whether you deem it good or bad, whether it feels pleasurable or painful. I invite you to offer it a smile. Remember, if it is painful, I invite you to also release the practice. Meet yourself with compassion, not with pressure. Enjoy the sweetness of this space. That floating sensation. The element of water moving freely through our bodies. The river of prana. The river of life, carrying us to everything that we need. Offer that river of life some gratitude. I encourage you to stay here with this practice as long as you would like to. Feel free to return to any part of the practice that you enjoyed. Again, I invite you to be gentle and patient with yourself rather than forceful. When you feel complete, I invite you to gently release the mudra. Uncurl your fingers. We've been sitting here for like 15-20 minutes, so uncurl those fingers. Bring your hands together into prayer, or simply lay one over the other over your heart in gratitude for today's practice. In gratitude for this shared space where we can learn and grow together, support each other in our healing and as we move along our journey. Offer yourself some gratitude for taking this time for self-care today. I am so fucking proud of you. You are so worth it. I'm really grateful you're here. Thank you so much for sharing the space with me and helping me to cultivate this safe space for us. When you're ready to come out of meditation all the way, please do so slowly. Offer yourself some wiggles, some stretches, some neck rolls, some wrist rolls. Wrist rolls? That sounds like a snack. Somebody's hungry. Only opening your eyes when you're really committed to coming back to this world. Kicker? Guys, it is pretty normal, by the way, for when you are working with the chakras. It's pretty normal when you come out of a chakra meditation for you to feel like you have a colored lens, for you to see colors a little bit differently. As long as it doesn't cause you any distress, it should be pretty normal, and it will dissipate. I know with TikTok, there's a lot of folks, you guys pop in and out. I do the same thing when I'm in a live sometimes. But sometimes I get done with a meditation and I think to myself, man, I really hope some of you stayed for the whole thing. Because that was good. You're very welcome, love. You can return to this practice anytime. You don't need me for this. You are your guru. My hope is that you take the things that we share here and use them to your benefit. Yay, Leb, perfect. Justin, I'm glad. The mudra yesterday? Oh, good. Was doing the things. One of the easiest ways to work with any of the chakras is color therapy. Any version of it. Wearing the color, stones in said color, eating said color, carrots, butternut squash, oranges, even things like mango. This area, this solar plexus is yellow, orange is the sacral, and red is the root. And so dealing with these chakras, the energy is it's not like compartmentalized. It's not like you're looking, even if you look at a rainbow, it's not like you're looking at a rainbow where they're all separate, but they're not even separate there. There is blending that happens. So our connection, our sacral chakra's connection to the root is going to be these deeper oranges, burnt oranges, yeah? The sacral chakra's connection to the solar plexus, more lighter oranges, yellows, kind of colors. Brighter oranges, right? Decorating your space. Thank you, you too, Trip. Decorating your space with the color. And in that way, ask yourself, which color do I have most aversion to? That will indicate what area you probably need the most work done in this moment. Now, obviously that can change from day to day, right? Like some days I just really don't like that color. Some days I do, because the energy body shifts and changes. The energy body breathes, just like your lungs breathe, just like your skin breathes. Heck, your eyes breathe. The spinal fluid that runs up and down right into your head, that breathes, has its own ebb and flow. The energy body has an ebb and flow, and it cycles through about every 45 minutes-ish, right? Because our timekeeping is not perfect. It's bad math. What if you love all colors? Fantastic. I had to work to get there. I didn't like all colors. In fact, the first time I started working on my sacral chakra, I painted my entire room burnt orange. And at first, I was like really grossed out by it. But the more I sat with it and the more I found things to appreciate about it, the more comfortable I felt with it. And the more I allowed myself to express myself creatively, to celebrate my creativity. I have always been a very rigid character, or was a rigid character. There is a really rigid character that lives within me, and that rigid character used to drive the ship, used to make the rules. Not anymore. Not anymore. Now we allow more time for play, more time for creativity, more time for sensuality, more time for pleasure in life. Now remember, an excess chakra, an excess of the sacral energy is going to be a pleasure-seeking person. Pleasure-seeking behaviors, because it's not who you are, it's just the behavior, right? So if you experience excess of these pleasure-seeking behaviors, then I invite you instead to focus on using that energy more appropriately. That's an excess of energy. If you have an excess of energy that is causing you to lean towards addictive behaviors, causing you to grope and pull on other people or other things in life for you to feel like you get what you need, I invite you to redirect that energy and use it as a creative force. Of course, force for creation, a force for expression that doesn't take from another. We are not meant to take our energy from finite sources. Our body needs a finite source of energy to function in this reality. Food, water, right? These things, because our meat bags are made of the same mud and clay and whatnot that we are here, they interact on that level. Our soul needs nourishment as well. Our energy body needs nourishment as well. That is from an infinite source. That is from that's from life force. That is from prana that runs through everything in the universe. And I think it's a fucking travesty that here in the West, we are taught to try to satisfy the need for the infinite through finite things. And it's a very effective manipulation tactic because if we're disconnected from that life force, from that prana flowing freely through us, then we are very easily swayed and pulled into manipulations like that tap into our desire, our need, our intimacy, our feeling of nurturing. This is what almost all of modern marketing does, is tap into your lower instincts of feeling safe, feeling nurtured, feeling loved, feeling joy, being creative, expressing yourself, right? All of these lower, even the solar plexus, all these lower ones here are what they use to get you to buy the thing that you didn't actually need, to get you to participate in the thing or behave a certain way, hoping that you will get what you need. Mullet Cookie, I have the exact same feeling often when I'm in the Discord too. The only thing upsetting to me is that all of us in this space aren't literally neighbors. I think I've had a couple people on here on TikTok come over and say, "Would you come be my neighbor?" I would love, and you guys know that I am actively working to collect community, yes, in an online space, so we can connect no matter where we are, but the end game here, the goal is to get together in person. That said, it's a great segue, right? Into our Discord space. We have a free Discord space where you can come and join us, share information, experiences, knowledge, understanding. We were talking about astral travel and remote viewing yesterday. We've been talking about the energy of different mudras and how the energy works, how the redirection works in the body and what the elements mean and what they refer to. We dig a lot deeper into this information here in Discord. Snickers, right? My biggest hurdle right now is really just land. I am on the West Coast, and I will be honest, I am not going east. I need to stay close to the ocean, but not so close that we're going to get flooded. If anyone has any real, I'll say that now. If anyone has any real actual interest in building in-person community, I am very serious about that process. I have community paperwork drafted up. I am working on creating a nonprofit underneath my business so we can operate as a nonprofit and offer community services and offer a space for people to so many things is what the problem was. So many things. But to really experience the kind of community that we were meant to be growing up in, meant to be raising ourselves and each other in. Yes, a little tiny house town, right? I think it's important that we have these Snickers. Just send me a message, guys. If you are actually interested in said things, send me a message. I am not, gonna buy a piece of land and just invite anybody and everybody on it. That is because I do require a certain level of personal responsibility and capability with the people that I'm going to build this with. I have been somebody with very poor boundaries in the past and have allowed myself to be perpetual teacher and caretaker for everyone around me. I am no longer in that position of doing so. So if you have the personal responsibility to take responsibility for your tasks as well as your words and your energy and these things, and you know how to honestly show up with curiosity and willingness, then definitely reach out to me. If you want to learn those things and hopefully someday find in-person community and learn the skills to function within a personal community, come to the Discord. I would love to share those skills. Yes. So again, like I said, I have been working towards community since I was quite young. And I have gone through many incarnations of drafting community paperwork. And what I mean by community paperwork, I mean the community guidelines. And I don't mean a ridiculous list of rules. I mean a comprehensive manual for how to approach decision making, resource sharing, problem solving, right? These kinds of things. I have developed this manual over more than a decade of experience in intentional communities, experience in off-grid, on-grid, functioning and totally dysfunctioning communities, as well as study in community making and psychology and human development. So this is a lifelong thing for me and is something that I am not in a rush for. Yes, a manual for humanity. My experiences as a child were so severe and so, I don't know the other words to say because I'm trying to change my semantics about it. I don't want to use the words like violent. I don't want to use the words traumatic. I don't want to use the words bad or scary. I don't want to use these words because they're contractive words, but I still want to honor the intensity of the things that happened. The nature and the intensity of the things that happened to me in my earliest years caused me to actually go out into the world and intentionally learn how to be human. Because from my experiences, I did not know. And I was afraid that I would just perpetuate what happened to me, and I could not. I would rather not be here than to perpetuate the kind of suffering that I experienced. So I went to school to figure out how and why we work, and what works and what doesn't, and what's more than just the physical body, because my early experiences also told me that God was not a person sitting up in the clouds, and that our bodies were not just a single unit with these like separate parts that were all put in there like a robot. I was experiencing much more subtle layers, and I was living in a world where people told me that was bullshit. So I had to go learn, and I'm grateful I did. I need to offer myself some gratitude for a moment, because the journey has not been easy. The journey has been many, many things besides easy and enjoyable. But I am at a place in my experience on my path where I am so genuinely and so fully grateful for every step on that path, because the things that I hoped for, the things that I have strived for since I was really young, are finally actually coming to fruition. They are actually unfolding for me. And I can't tell you how amazing that feels. And I want you to experience the same thing, if you want to. I will never try to goat you into something. I will never nickel and dime you. I will never gotcha market to you, because I'm not here to manipulate you. I'm here to teach you how to not be manipulated. I'm here to help you find your captain and meet all the different parts of yourself so you can work together as a team with yourself, instead of thwarting yourself again and again and again. My biggest fear in my life has always been that something unconscious, some unconscious programming, habit, is creating the pain and suffering I'm experiencing in my life. And the reality is, that is usually what it is that something unconscious, some background programming, is leading us away from our true nature, from authenticity, from our purpose. And it's not out of some nefarious means. It's not because the body or the brain are attacking you or anything. It is entirely the opposite. It is because the body and the mind and the energy have all been erected, constructed to keep you safe. Not this body, you. This you. The drop of divinity that is so powerful, all you need is a drop, and it brings you to life. It perpetuates your life. A unique and beautiful spark that is only meant for you, only ever will exist because of you. And that is the most beautiful thing in creation. When I was little, I remember the feeling of, I don't even know how to describe it, seeing someone in their pure expression, seeing them discover themselves, seeing them laugh with themselves. I have seen this over and over and over again in my life, in my work, working with clients and people, that when you finally touch that spark and you see that tear roll down someone's face, again, I don't have words for it. But if I could give everyone that experience at least one time in their life, I would. I love you all so much, and I don't say that from some anecdotal or some kitschy whatever. I say that because I am you. I feel you just the way that you feel me. And maybe you don't know how to tap into that yet, and that's okay. Maybe it's overwhelming, and that's okay too. But if I experienced these things, then so can you. Both the good and the bad. And the one thing I wanted most as a little girl was to save the world. From feeling that ever again. You deserve to be supported. You deserve to be nurtured. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be encouraged. And you deserve your own love more than anybody else does. So if you're one of those people who say, I love everybody else so hard, damn it, turn that on you. And love yourself just as hard, if not harder, as you want to be loved and as you want to love others. We so often give others what we hope they will give us back, not realizing how misdirected that is. You mean if I just turned that energy back on myself, that it would naturally expand out to others and I wouldn't be stuck in this cycle of giving and groping and being depleted? Yeah. Hi, Gigi. Good morning. There's a story that I really love, and my mother told it to me when I was little, because I told her that I wanted to be I wanted to be the first woman president, because I thought that being the president of the United States was the way to save the world. And I told her about how I was going to change all these policies so that everybody would be taken care of and protected. And she said, one afternoon, a grumpy old man went and sat on the beach. And he sat a little bit away from the waves because he didn't want to get his feet wet. He sat on a log. And he brooded, looking at the sand, bitching about his day, not even interested in listening to the waves or looking at the sunset. He'd had a real shitty one. And as he was sitting there thinking about all the people who made his life shitty, he heard in the distance a splash. Again, he's too busy brooding to pay any attention to that. So he continues doing so until he hears another splash. At this point, it irks him a little bit, but he's still too busy, he tells himself, to look up until he hears a third splash, and this time it's closer. Finally, he looks up and he scowls as he stares across the beach, and he sees a little girl skipping. She takes a few skips, she bends down, and she picks something up and she throws it into the ocean. She takes a few skips, she bends down, and she picks something up and she tosses it into the ocean. And seeing what she's doing, he looks across the beach and he realizes that all the way down the beach are starfish that have been washed ashore. And she is picking them up one by one and throwing them back in the ocean. Immediately, he realizes how absurd this is. Obviously, it's not even gonna fucking work. So he pipes up and he says to her when she gets a little closer, he's like, "Hey, little girl, you know you can't save all of them." And he gestures down the beach. And for the first time, she looks up and down the beach and realizes that he's right. In that moment, her heart sank. And she looked down at the starfish in front of her. And and she poked it with her toe, considering just giving up. But then she reached down and she tossed that one into the ocean too. And she turned back to him with every bit of confidence that she could muster, and she said, I made a difference to that one. And went on her way, picking the starfish up one at a time. See, I worked on the sacral chakra just a minute ago. How long do we meditate? For like 15 minutes. Some things must have gotten stirred up. But I'm grateful. Because I can laugh with the tears. And I can hold space in my heart for that little girl who felt like the world was telling her to stop. The world was telling her she couldn't do it. The world was telling her she was immature and stupid for even trying. And to find myself sitting here and watching the response I get from the world now. I cannot tell you what it does to my heart. Thank you. Because it's real, Leb. Because I hold space for that part of me. And because she deserves to be seen and she deserves to be heard. She has spent far too long, like many parts of ourselves, have spent far too long pushed away into the shadows because we deem them too immature or too silly or too stupid or too, gosh, you're so dumb. Obviously we can't fucking be president. That job sucks. But that small voice comes back again and she says, please just help one person, please. In my exploration of our emotions and of the ways that we respond to trauma and the ways that we build ourselves up to protect ourselves from trauma, I found something very interesting in my son's father. We had very, very, very similar experiences growing up. Very similar. I chose to turn myself inside out, basically, because of my pain and my trauma and my suffering. I turned myself inside out and I said, well, if I can just help everyone and everything and do everything I possibly can to love the world as hard as possible, then maybe somebody will love me. Somebody will see me. Somebody will support me. Somebody will nurture me. His response, however, was the complete opposite. He did what I call bully up. He created boundaries so hard and so rigid that no one could get in. Very similar experiences, two totally different ways of dealing with them. So for him, the process was meeting those parts of himself with compassion and letting those emotions happen without getting angry about them and without being afraid and hiding them again. Trusting himself to be gentle with himself. And that can be really hard when we're used to being rigid and firm to protect ourselves. And this is why I say to you guys, there are 4 pillars that I have found to build a solid foundation on. 4 pillars. Your intention and your attention. Cultivating your intention. Making sure your intention aligns with your values and truth and authentic self. Resting your attention on your intention so you don't lose sight of that in anything that you do, so that you can adjust to make sure that it stays aligned with where you truly want to be and who you truly want to be. And as you explore with these two tools, you meet everything with curiosity and with willingness. With curiosity and willingness. From here, there is nothing that you will meet within yourself that you cannot face. Because it does not matter if a part of you comes yelling and screaming and demanding that we do awful, terrible things. Because if you meet that part of yourself with curiosity and willingness almost always diffuse a situation. At least turn the volume down a little bit, yeah? And that willingness to hear what that part of yourself has to say, even if it first comes out as mean and angry and scary. How would you feel if you had been told you were not worthy and you had been pushed away and kept hidden from the world? That is what we do to ourselves. That is what we do to parts of ourselves. And then we expect them not to be angry when we go to access them. And the truth is that when we push them away, they become pressure that creates tension within us, pressure that desires to be released. And so it keeps coming up and fucking up our lives, or that nasty comment comes out sideways, or, we do the thing that we said we weren't going to do. Why? Because all of these parts of ourselves are pushing to be let free. And yet we are taught to compartmentalize and to hold and to contain. When what we need to learn is how to meet that part of ourselves and how to redirect the energy. Energy never dies. You can't stuff it in yourself and expect it just to disappear. Everything in creation goes through the same cycles. Birth, life, death, and rebirth, because energy never dies. It just gets transferred. So that emotion that you feel when you're driving and somebody cuts you off, use that energy instead of spewing that energy at somebody else, weaponizing it against somebody else or against yourself. How the fuck do you do that in the moment? Come into the Discord so we can talk about it at length. And in the future, very soon here, today is the 25th, starting June 1st, friends, starting June 1st, the first Saturday in June, these Saturday lives are going to be extra long. And during these Saturday lives, I am going to open the guest panel here for questions so we can have real-time chat rather than just text chat. Now, to access that, you will need to be a member either on TikTok, you can subscribe on TikTok, or you can subscribe on my Patreon page. Again, at this point, I give you guys information away for free because it's what I need to do. Leb, have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Hopefully I will see you in the Discord. Many blessings to you. So, information I give away freely. I'm done trying to nitpick what I can share and what I should put in a workshop and what I should put in a book and what I should share freely and whatever. If we were sitting in a coffee shop, I would give you everything I have. All of my information. All of the things that I have learned completely for free. So I'm not playing the game anymore of marketing that shit. You can have it. But the nature of these tools that I have is that they are only really accessed when you ask me for them. It has always been the nature of this gift. And I'm grateful for that because it reminds me of how much we need each other. So, what I do charge for is personal time with me, personal time working on things with you, your personal stuff, that kind of stuff. So there are 3 levels of membership. That first level of membership gets you a channel to ask for content. I will create specific content for you to answer your questions. You get, starting June 1st, all of the replays for the classes are on YouTube right now. They're all accessible on YouTube right now, the replays for all of my classes. Starting June 1st, those replays after a week will go into an archive, and that archive is accessible through the first level of membership. That first level of membership also gets you a 5% discount on on the shop for products, as well as any other services that I offer in private coaching and stuff like that, energy work and those kinds of things. The second level of membership gets you all of that, plus it gets you the twice weekly group coaching that we do on Zoom through the Discord. Twice weekly group coaching. You want to really experience this community as we are building it, get into the group coaching. That third level of membership gets you all of the first, plus the group coaching, and 1 hour of private coaching per month. So there's 2 ways I'm doing the tiers, the pricing for this. Patreon will always stay the same. Patreon is it's $11, $22, and $55 for those 3 levels of membership. I'm going to leave them there, and they're going to stay there forever. I want it to be accessible, sustainable for everyone. If at any point you grab a membership like that and somewhere down the road you're like, hey, shit, I can't pay this month, I got other things, reach out to me. I am not a gatekeeper. I am not interested in only filling my bank account. I'm not even interested in filling my bank account. I'm interested in making sure that you get this information and you get the tools that you need. And I'm flexible to make sure that happens, okay? If you subscribe here on TikTok, remember that TikTok will give me only up to 50%. At this moment, they're not even giving me 50% of the revenue I make on TikTok. So, if you like the convenience of subscribing on TikTok, go for it. The prices on TikTok right now are $7.99, $14.99, and $44.99, I think, for those 3 levels. In September, those will go up to account for the fact that TikTok takes more than 50% of what I make on here. So if you don't want to deal with the price changes, go to the Patreon. In September, what's here on TikTok will go up. You will have 30 days to accept, and during that time, you can decide to go over to Patreon or you can decide to stay here. Doesn't matter to me. It's what's convenient for you. Yes, the mullet cookie. Can a person, the mullet cookie, sorry. Mullet cookie, yes. Can a person just send me a money order and buy blocks of months instead? Yes, reach out if you want to work something else out. If you don't want to go through Patreon, you don't want to go through TikTok, and you want to do something else, like I said, I'm flexible. It is not about me raking anything in except for community. I wanted to be a nun. I used to pray to Christ and ask him how he walked the earth the way that he did. I used to study Mother Teresa, wondering if maybe I could live a life like that. And in this modern world, it's really hard to want to be just a teacher. It's really, no, I shouldn't say that. It's not really hard. I am learning how to do that. I am learning how to show up authentically, because authentically, I would like to just give you guys this stuff and know that I don't have to worry about the bill being paid or the internet turning off or my son getting new shoes when he grows out of the ones he has. But that's not the world we live in just yet. I know that we are working towards that, and I know that we together are how we ring in the new earth and the new way of relating and the new way of taking care of each other. Yes, it's the world we build, Snickers. Thank you, Jay. We are all growing together, and that's the thing. Don't look at me as your guru. Please never do. Please. You are your guru. I am here to be a mirror so you can find the guru within you. so that there is no one outside of you who can manipulate you away from that truth, from your authentic nature, from your purpose. So many of us are thrown off track, pulled off of track by our culture, by our families, by the government, by media marketing, by our friends. Fuck! There is a lot of energy in this world that would not have you be your true self. And yet your true self is the most powerful thing that you can be. Yes, Tina, you are your own guru. The guru in me recognizes the guru in you, honors that guru in you. I can learn from you in the same way that you can learn from me. I've been incubating in this particular type of understanding and experience. And so it is my gift to give to the world. You have been incubating in your little facet of experience. And within that is an abundance of gifts to give to the world. I love you so much, and I am so proud of you for who you are, for what you are, even if you don't feel that way today. I am so proud of you to getting to this space in your life, this moment right here, because it's exactly where you need to be. Hi, Billy. It's exactly who you need to be. Remember that you are healing because you were broken before. You have the opportunity to love yourself because you felt unloved before. If you're ever going to come home to yourself, you have to leave home first. So, I'm proud of you for taking the leap and leaving home. I'm sorry if you feel lost and if the journey has been difficult. It doesn't have to be anymore. Are there going to be challenges? Yes, that's life. Is pain going to happen? Sure as shit. There are sharp rocks on the path, man. Sometimes there's nothing you can do but stub your toe. But I have spent my life collecting the tools to turn a battle into a celebration. And I'm not speaking from some book knowledge. I'm not speaking from something that I heard somebody else say. I only share with you guys the tools that I have worked with, the tools that have worked for me, or the tools that I have seen work for other people. Mullet Cookie, I love you. Have a wonderful day. I will measure my head for you, friend. Soon. Remind me again, please, repeatedly. I love you. I love you. You love me. That's how it is when you're soul family. We give lots of hugs and ample gratitude. I just want to say I love you, dude. All right, guys. I love you ridiculously and abundantly. Like just it's overwhelming. So I'm going to go ahead and just lay down with it for a second. If you are on that second level membership, which you can purchase right here on TikTok, or you can go to Patreon. Group coaching happens at noon. So in about 15 minutes, we are jumping onto a Zoom call for group coaching. If you would like to join us for group coaching, you've got to be on that second level of membership. Again, you can access that here on TikTok, or you can go to Patreon. If you're already in the Discord, I can direct you to how to do that with the Discord too. If you want to get in and you just like, there's all these directions of places I got to go, send me a message and I will send you a link directly to the Patreon page so you can just go there. Okay? All right. And then I will send you, in fact, if you want to get into the group coaching call and you go and purchase your membership, please send me a message immediately, or send me one and say, hey, I'm going to go do pay it right now, and so I can send you the Zoom link directly. We don't even have to deal with Discord just yet. All right. I love you all. You're fucking fantastic. This world would not be what it is without you, and I mean the good parts, okay? If this world didn't need you, you wouldn't fucking be here. That's how powerful you are. That's how important you are. Sending you lots of love too, Tina. I love you guys so much. Okay, so let's turn off the good night, YouTube. Good night, Instagram. Remember, guys, I am at Move with Change on all the platforms, in all the places you hang out. So go follow me in all the places. But the most important places to follow me are on YouTube and on Patreon, because those are the places where I drop replays, clips, content, info, announcements, and all that stuff. So, all right. Sweet dreams, TikTok. I will see you Monday for Bhakti Bites.